Claremont County father accused of murdering his 3 young sons. Thanks for staying with us at 5:30. I'm Ashley Kirkland.
And I'm Chris Jacobs. Chad Doerman was indicted on 21 charges, including 9 counts of aggravated murder. If convicted, he faces the death penalty. WLWT News 5's Karen Johnson joins us now to walk us through what happened today and what we expect will unfold in the coming months. Karen.
Well, hey guys, Chad Doerman's trial set to begin July 8th of next year. It's expected to last 4 weeks, but in the coming months, we will hear arguments over motions filed by the defense. They recently filed 34 motions.
On June 15, 2023, Ohio officers found themselves at the scene of one of the most shocking and incomprehensible crimes in recent county history. The perpetrator, Chad Doerman, had used a hunting rifle to take the lives of his 3 young children, ages 3, 4, and 7. But how could such an atrocity happen? What is behind this case? And even more disturbing, how is a father capable of taking the lives of his own children? No details are known about Chad Doerman's life, only that he was 32 years old at the time of the crime, and that he was known as a relatively quiet man. Although, like many people, he had some problems in the past, such as fights, including one with his father, who even came close to putting him behind bars for assault after a fight in which Chad would have broken his nose. Given how recent this case is, the finer details are still unknown. But it is known that he and his wife were having a heated argument that night in June of 2023. At some point during the argument, Chad decided to pull out his rifle, line up his children, and begin shooting them. This is where it all started. The mother tried to cover one of her children, but he fired back, wounding the mother in the hand. One of the children tried to run away, but Chad, now transformed into a monster, decided that he was not going to let the little boy escape alive. So he chased his son for several minutes in a nearby field. He literally hunted him down. When he found him, took him to the area where he had finished off his other children, and once there, executed him. While this was going on, Laura's oldest daughter, Alexis, who was Chad's stepdaughter, saw what was happening and ran frantically through the neighborhood, calling for help until she reached the fire station, where she was finally able to call 911. Moments before the neighbor alerted authorities, the children's mother had called 911, screaming that her sons had been shot. Claremont County Police immediately responded to the Monroe Township home. Despite their best efforts, they were unable to save the boys. They were able to arrest the father, but the most sinister part was yet to be discovered. The first information about the crime was confusing, and the news did not help, as each newscast added fuel to the fire. But soon the true details came to light. When they arrived, they found a completely docile man, as if detached from reality, who obeyed all the officers' orders and apparently did not understand the seriousness of his crimes. Doerman's passive attitude at the time of his arrest caught the attention of the authorities, as he was cooperative and even friendly when a contingent of police arrived around 4 p.m., even trying to appease the officers by telling them that he would not resist. It was there, as mentioned above, that the officers tried to save the little ones, but the blows were fatal. After his arrest, many people, neighbors, friends, and relatives came to express their surprise at what had happened and did not understand how this man could have committed such a crime. His father, for example, said that while his son could be a little aggressive, he was not what you would call a dangerous man or a man with criminal thoughts, and that he did not understand what could have happened to him. The media, as expected, began to do their job of demonizing a man who, of course, had just committed a terrible crime. But the media did not have the details or why, something that remains unknown to this day. At the trial, he admitted that he had lined his children up to finish them off, which showed that he planned this, to which he replied that he had been planning this crime since October of last year, the date on which he decided that he would soon end their lives of his children, which was in 2022. The authorities had not been able to determine why this man made such a decision. During his arrest, several psychologists and psychiatrists have been in contact with him, trying to determine the cause of his decision, but no information has been obtained to answer or dispel the doubt. On the other hand, the district attorney cataloged the fact as totally repugnant, as the most terrible he has seen in his entire career. Although it is too early to know the details of what happened and to deepen the investigation and the mental state of the alleged triple murderer, the authorities imposed a bail of $20 million, and a whole debate has been opened in the media and social networks about the possibility of sentencing the man to death in view of the seriousness of cruelty of the facts. In fact, the bail amount is the highest ever set in Ohio's legal history. Doerman's defense attorney, a state-appointed public defender, requested a lower bail of $75,000. However, the prosecution presented disturbing evidence that caused quite a stir in the courtroom. Chad is currently being held in the Clermont County Jail, where he will have to wait until July 8, 2024 for his trial to begin. Visibly moved, the prosecutor described the murders as the worst crime he had ever seen. Another detail highlighted by local media is that the state of Ohio does not require background checks for private gun sales. Authorities have not officially released a motive for the shootings. What has been revealed is that Doerman had been accused of domestic violence in 2010. The lawsuit was filed by his own father, Keith Doerman, because Chad had allegedly tried to choke him during a family argument. The case was unsuccessful because Keith failed to appear at the hearing. Chad's father was one of the first people close to the alleged killer to speak to the press. For his part, Bill Donovan, a close neighbor of the slaughtered family, emphatically spoke to several media outlets, which I have included in the video. If you think a child you know is going through some form of abuse or neglect, call 911 or any emergency number in your country. If you are in the USA, you can call or text 1-800-422-4453. Professional crisis counselors are available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, in over 170 languages. Bear in mind that Child Help Hotline crisis counselors can't make the report for you, but they can walk you through the process and let you know what to expect. Let's do our best to make sure no kids get hurt or murdered under our watch. Thank you for watching, and please leave your thoughts in the comments. This is all the information I could find on this case. It's really sad, and it's really heartbreaking that you have parents that, their children, it seems like doesn't matter. But leave your thoughts. Let me know what you think about the case. If you have any more details on the case, and his trial is of next year. Thank you for watching, and please don't forget to subscribe. Thank you guys for watching.
Responders and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. But the evil horror of what we know is impossible to process. In an act of just incomprehensible cruelty, the father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle. They were ages 3, 4, and 7, Judge. In an act of desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun that father was wielding to attempt to protect them. We know that one of the boys was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. Judge, I asked the court in setting this bond to just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world, he was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood.
It really can describe what we heard today. Now, Chad Doerman, like you said, went in front of a judge here at the Claremont County Municipal Court around 10 this morning. Now, prosecutors say that this is the worst crime that they have ever seen, and they push to make sure that Doerman will not be able to get out of jail anytime soon. So they requested a $20 million bond, which the judge did grant. Now, that $20 million bond, the prosecutors say, is the most that they know of in Claremont County history. I do want to let you listen to what the prosecutor had to say in court, but again, we do want to warn you that what you are about to listen to is very hard to hear and contains some truly horrific descriptions about what happened.
Trauma that this man has inflicted on his family, the community, law enforcement, first responders, and all of the rest of us who have any idea what's going on here is unspeakable. There's been a full admission in this case, Judge. The case is still new. We're still discovering facts. But the evil horror of what we know is impossible to process. In an act of just incomprehensible cruelty, the father that stands before you lined up his 3 young boys, and he executed them in his own home with a rifle. They were ages 3, 4, and 7, Judge. In an act of desperation to save her children, the mother at some point grabbed the gun that father was wielding to attempt to protect them. We know that one of the boys was able to flee into a field near the home. And again, we know from his admission, father hunted that boy down, drug him back to the property, and executed him in front of witnesses. The mother was shot through the hand in her attempt to protect her children. Judge, I asked the court in setting this bond to just begin to imagine their fear. This was the man that every day they woke up looking to for protection, love, guidance in all things. The man they trust more than any other person on earth. The person they rely upon to keep them safe from harm. He was their world, he was their guardian, and he executed them in cold blood. We know that from his admission.
Now, here's a look at what happened according to investigators. The children's mother called 911 around 4:15 yesterday afternoon. She told dispatchers that, quote, her babies had been shot. Now, this all, when they arrived, the sheriff's deputies made contact with Doerman, who was actually just sitting outside of the home, and then arrested him. Now, the boy's 34-year-old mother, she had been shot in the hand, like you heard the prosecutor said, and was also outside the house. Now, court documents say that Doerman confessed to planning and carrying out the deaths of these victims for several months. Now, I've covered a lot of murder cases in my time as a journalist over the past 15 years, and I must say that the details in this case are just absolutely horrific, and it's not often that you see a prosecutor get choked up like we did in the courtroom this morning. Now, Doerman will be held on that $20 million bond, and he did not enter a plea today, despite what you heard there, investigators saying that he has admitted to these killings.
No training of any kind prepares you for this. It's easy to forget that these are men and women with families, children, feelings, emotions. They're not some automaton performing a delegated function. They're people. They were required to give CPR to gunshot children. 3, 4, and 7-year-old children. They held these boys in their arms, knowing there was nothing they could do to save them. How long do those scars last?
Parents in the community reacted to the news of the shooting last night as well.
I have 9, 7, 3, and a newborn. There is nothing my kids have ever done or could ever do that would make me want to take their life. Do they make me mad? On a daily basis. That's every parent on the planet. If you don't have a kid, you'll understand one day. Kids drive you nuts, they push your buttons, but there's nothing they could ever do to make me want to shoot them. Nothing.
I just seen the kids out playing yesterday, like the little boy was riding his go-kart like he does all the time. They were good kids. He was just a very angry man. Like he just was always yelling at his wife and his kids, and you just really don't pay no attention to stuff like that, and then this happens.
They just should not be cut down like that. They should not. No father should ever even think about doing that to their children.